Although the iPhone 13 is still a new kid on the block, speculations have already drawn a picture of what the so-called iPhone 14 will look like. Join us as we go through all of the current iPhone 14 leaks and speculations. What will the name be? Given that the iPhone 13 was unveiled in 2021, we anticipate that the iPhone 14 will be released in 2022. It's unclear if Apple will ever return to the S name, but reports suggest that the 2022 iPhone will be a significant enough update to deserve a new number. Apple keeps its marketing names a secret until the last minute. This means we'll have to wait until the release date to learn more about that year's release. When will it be available? New flagship iPhones are typically introduced and launched in September, except the iPhone 12 due to the COVID-19 epidemic. The iPhone 14 will be presented in the second half of 2022. As a result, the iPhone 14 range is scheduled to debut in September 2022. What features will set the iPhone 14 apart from the competition? No camera bump. To accommodate a higher quality 48-megapixel camera, Apple will make the camera bump on the iPhone 14 Pro bigger than on the iPhone 13 Pro. Apple will equip its two Pro iPhone 14 versions with a 48-megapixel primary camera, according to trusted Apple analyst Ming-Chi Kuo. As a result, the camera bump will need to be enlarged, broader and thicker to cater for the larger sensor and lens. This confirms a prior report that the camera bump on the iPhone 14 Pro and Pro Max will be more comprehensive, with Kuo's statements giving credibility to that claim. Since the iPhone 6s in 2015, Apple has persisted with 12-megapixel primary cameras, while most phone manufacturers have moved to higher resolution sensors. Previous speculations concerning the iPhone 14 Pro's cameras were contradictory, with some suggesting it would feature a 48-megapixel primary camera and others claiming it would have a 12-megapixel sensor. However, we're inclined to assume that the iPhone 14 Pro variants will include 48-megapixel cameras, as predicted by Kuo. According to Prosser, the iPhone 14 will not have a camera bump on at least specific variants. Because of the iPhone's slim design and the required thickness of camera components now has a projecting camera bump. According to Prosser, Apple will be able to avoid the camera bump with the iPhone 14 by thickening the device itself. So how does this affect iPhone? Over numerous generations, Apple has demonstrated that the iPhone does not require high megapixel counts to be one of the most excellent camera phones. But that time may end. A phone with a 48-megapixel camera would allow you to shoot more detailed images or utilize pixel binning to produce lower resolution shots at higher brightness. The increased thickness of the iPhone 14 Pro's camera bulge is still a disappointment, given the previous rumors stated that the bump would be removed. Renders from 2021 showed that the iPhone 14 Pro's cameras would be flush with the rear panel, similar to the Samsung Galaxy S22 Ultra. The latest renderings don't look as elegant as the older ones, but they appear more realistic. While it would be awful to see the iPhone 13 Pro and iPhone 13 Pro Max become more prominent with the iPhone 14 upgrade, a more versatile camera is one of the most significant conceivable reasons. We'll see whether this apparent modification is accurate and if the size increase was justified. Is there any progress on Touch ID? Apple's attempt to embed Touch ID into the iPhone's display has made less than expected development progress. While early iPhone 14 rumors suggested Apple would have under-displayed Touch ID, this does not appear to be the case now. According to most recent reports from Ming-Chi Kuo, Apple has been forced to postpone under-display Touch ID until 2023. It is also feasible that, like the iPad Air and iPad Mini, Apple takes a less ambitious route and incorporates Touch ID inside the iPhone's power button. However, Touch ID is not likely to be included in the iPhone 14. No notch on the iPhone? The elimination of the notch cutout is the most significant change we foresee with the 2022 iPhone. The notch design debuted with the iPhone 10 and has remained unchanged since then. Apple's sensors for things like Face ID are housed in the notch. Apple will ditch the notch in 2022, according to reliable Apple analyst Ming-Chi Kuo, starting with the high-end iPhone 14 Pro. Kuo describes the design modification as a punch-hole design. Meanwhile, Bloomberg's Mark Gurman claims that the iPhone 14 will be completely redesigned. Apple's current intention is to limit the hole punch design to the iPhone 14 Pro and iPhone 14 Pro Max. As a result, unless Apple meets its product yield targets, the regular iPhone 14 will keep the notch. Furthermore, according to Kuo, the company would only realize the punch hole design if Apple's prototype and manufacturing proceeded as planned. If the punch hole design seems familiar, it's because it's seen on many high-end Android phones right now. With the iPhone 14, it makes sense for Apple to use this design. The punch hole on the iPhone 14 Pro would contain the camera now housed in the notch. The punch hole design was also confirmed by YouTuber and leaker John Prosser, who claimed to have seen real-life photographs of the iPhone 14 Pro Max without a notch. The destiny of Face ID is still a mystery. Apple may probably drop Face ID in favor of Touch ID behind the display. What will the screen size of the iPhone 14 be? It's also doubtful that Apple will adjust its marketing for the iPhone 14 Pro and iPhone 14 Pro Max, given that the firm already promotes screen sizes of 6.1 inches and 6.7 inches. One option is that Apple highlights the improvements with some cunning percent increase calculations. The iPhone 14 and iPhone 14 Max, on the other hand, are believed to have the exact screen sizes as the iPhone 13 and iPhone 13 Pro Max. The notch will remain on lower-tier iPhone 14 models with the Pill Plus hole punch cutout design reserved for the Pro. The iPhone 14 is not expected to have a mini design factor like the iPhone 12 and 13. Portless iPhone? Apple has been working on a portless iPhone for several years. Instead of having a lightning plug, this iPhone would be wireless. This was supposed to happen in 2021, but it never happened. As a result, the iPhone 14 would enable wireless charging and Apple's newest MagSafe technology instead of Lightning. With the 14 Pro, Apple is most likely to implement this modification first. Over the next few years, lower-end models would follow. The iPhone 14 is expected to be released in September 2022, and reports say it will contain a dramatic makeover, new features, and more. What do you think the iPhone 14 will be like? Leave your thoughts in the comments section down below. The video for today has come to an end. Please like it and subscribe to our channel for more exciting videos if you enjoyed this video. To be among the first to know when a new video is released, press the bell button.